guys, welcome back to today's video. Today we're going to be checking out this video from Woke Watch. It's titled Denzel Washington Destroying Woke Culture. We're going to be seeing this together, how Denzel Washington is going to be destroying some woke culture. Yeah, he's an oldie, okay? So yeah, of course. But I'm so eager to watch this because I know what this man stands for and what he represents. So I'm super excited to be checking this out. Before we dive into it, my name is Oge. Welcome to the channel. If it's your first time here, hello. Do well to like, share, subscribe, turn on post notification bell. Let's check this out together.
Who you wound up supporting in the election, presidential election?
None of your business.
None of my business?
None of your business.
In a world dominated by political correctness and divisive narratives, some voices dare to challenge the status quo. One such voice is Denzel Washington, a Hollywood legend who isn't afraid to speak his mind on race, politics, and the real issues facing society today. Today, we explore how Denzel Washington dismantles the so-called woke culture with wisdom, clarity, and brutal honesty. Let's take a closer look at his thoughts and the deeper message behind them.
What do you think about that?
I don't have to think about it. I've lived it. I've been the guy at the Oscars without my name being called. I've been the guy at the Oscars when my name is called. I've been the guy at the Oscars when everybody thought they was going to call my name and they didn't. So I've lived it.
So what would you say to the people who are looking at this process and saying it's unfair?
Yeah, and so what? You going to give up? If you're looking for an excuse, you'll find one.
In race.
You can find it wherever you like. You can't live like that. You just do the best you can do.
Denzel sets the tone by addressing a question about discrimination in the Oscars. His message is clear. Justifications and excuses are easy to find, but progress is only achieved through persistence and hard work. Denzel's response here is a direct challenge to the victimhood mentality, often encouraged by woke culture. Instead of dwelling on discrimination, he emphasizes personal responsibility and resilience. His message is clear. While injustices exist, success comes from persistence, not blaming the system. This is an empowering outlook that shifts the conversation from feeling oppressed to overcoming challenges through hard work. Building on this idea of personal responsibility and resilience, Denzel's thoughts on race and culture offer a deeper perspective on how we can bridge divides without relying on surface-level solutions.
So why did he need a black director? Could a white director not have?
It's not color, it's culture.
Explain the difference, because I think we're
Steven
in a space
Spielberg
right
did Schindler's List. Martin Scorsese did Goodfellas, right? Steven Spielberg could direct Goodfellas. Martin Scorsese probably could have done a good job with Schindler's List, but they're cultural differences.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I know, you know, we all know what it is when a hot comb hits your hair on a Sunday morning, what it smells like. That's a cultural difference, not just a color difference.
The analogy of Spielberg directing Schindler's List and Scorsese directing Goodfellas speaks volumes. It's not just about who's behind the camera, but what experiences they bring to the story.
Of course.
This perspective goes against the grain of woke culture, which tends to focus heavily on identity markers like race. Denzel's approach shows that cultural understanding, not simply race, is key to telling authentic stories and making real connections. This focus on culture rather than race naturally leads into Denzel's critique of how information and misinformation affects our worldview. In a world overloaded with opinions, how do we find the truth?
So what is the long-term effect of too much information? The polarization of the electorate? A meaner spiritness?
And false information as well, because the whole fake news thing.
Pick one. It's not just one. That's the flavor of the day. Every day is something else. People have to understand, are you using your device or is your device using you? Can you put it down? Can you turn it off?
You're talking about literally the places people get their information from.
I don't care what information. Pick one. Phone, television. You know, it used to be news. Now it's opinion news. Oh, glasses. We have 3 experts on the right, 3 on the left. Let's discuss. Ooh, light bulbs. We have 3 experts on the right. That's not news. That's opinion news. Well, over and over and over. Cycle. What is the long-term effect of too much information? If you're sitting there and you're thinking it's the gospel, what I'm saying to people is, to all of us, I'm not knocking the phone. What I'm saying is we have to understand, we have to at least ask ourselves, around the world. You, here in England, wherever you are. What is it doing to us?
Denzel's message is clear. We need to be more critical of the information we consume. This is a direct hit at the woke movement, which often thrives on viral outrage and quick opinions rather than thoughtful analysis. Denzel urges us to step back, think critically, and not let ourselves be controlled by the media's endless cycle of noise. As we reflect on how information shapes our perceptions, Denzel brings us back to the importance of accountability, not just in ourselves, but in the leaders we choose to represent us.
You know, I think this is what I think. I think we as Americans better learn to unite. I think we as Americans need to put our elected officials' feet to the fire and demand that they work together, or they won't get back in office. You know, in this age we live in, this accelerated information age, we're getting further and further apart. We're not getting together, we're getting further and further and further apart. Everybody can't be right. But I think this is an opportunity, actually. You see how people are being energized and protesting and all that. But I think this is an opportunity for us to look at ourselves as a country and say, are we together, really? And are we holding our elected officials accountable to making sure that they're working together? Not just, hey, you're on your side, I win what I win, you win what you win. Because this is what is happening. This is what's happening. And God only knows where it's going.
Rather than embracing the...
There's been so many conversations raised in this video. And I think, let me take you from the beginning. From the beginning, he talked about, you know, that there will always be injustice. There would always be race. There will always be the thing about color. That the only way you can get ahead of your mates, or the only way you can get ahead of other people, is persistence and perseverance, hard work. Okay, because I mean, this race thing and injustice has always been there. Even before we were born, it will always be there. But as a black person or a person of color, you only have to be hardworking and be persistent. I think this is one of the messages Charlie Kirk is always pushing forward, you know, to young people, who is always shouting, oh, there's racism, this, racism, that, and all of that. And he's always saying, what is it that a white person has that you as a black person cannot have if you are not persistent and consistent? Okay, so it seems like their message in that light is kind of similar. He also talked about, another thing I picked from what all they've said now is the fact that, you know, do we allow the internet now dictate our opinions and thoughts? Can we put our phones down, or television, or whatever screens it is, put it down and actually think critically? Because now we have so many recycled opinions all over the place, debate here, debate there, where we now debate on things that we shouldn't even debate about. Can we actually sit down and actually think about these things? I feel like a lot of these conversations in today's video are very, very timely, very, very important, and we know what Denzel Washington stands for, and I really finding this very insightful, to be honest. But let's continue the video.
Where it's going.
Rather than embracing the us versus them mentality often promoted by woke culture, Denzel calls for unity. He reminds us that change won't come from simply being loud or divisive. It comes from holding leaders accountable and working together. In a culture that often pushes polarization, Denzel advocates for unity and accountability. He sees this moment as an opportunity for reflection and asks the hard question, are we really united, or are we just pretending to be while tearing each other apart? Denzel takes this critique of personal responsibility even further, turning the mirror back on us and our families. If we want to see real change, it has to start from within.
I think it's more important to make headway in our own house. By the time the system comes into play, the damage is done. They're not locking up 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
You know, I was in Chicago a couple of 3-4 weeks ago, and we saw these little kids on bikes with masks on the side of their head, like 5 or 6 of them. And the driver said, yeah, they're little yummies. I said, who? He said, little yummies. Look up, Google Little Yummy. Little Yummy was an 11-year-old murderer.
Wow.
And you look at his picture, you'll see the headshot of him, and he's like this. And he got murdered at 11 by a 14-year-old.
Wow.
Who's doing life now, and a 16-year-old.
That makes no sense.
You blame the system? Where was his father?
We need to be held
It
accountable.
starts in the house. It starts in the home.
Yes.
And yeah, well, my father got locked up. Well, where was his father?
Yeah.
You know, like I did talk about my 3 closest friends, and they did, 15 to 25. One did 28, this and that. I was the only one of the 3 that had a father in my life, even though my parents were together. But I still had a father who was a gentle man and a good example, and they didn't. We can blame the system if we want, but they didn't lock any of us up at 7.
Yeah.
We were all doing enough to get locked up at 13. My parents sent me in another direction. They didn't have anybody to help them, and they kept doing what they was doing, and the system got them. So
Denzel places the weight of...
See, I love this conversation. I love what he said here. See, I think it's high time we start taking accountability for our own failures. The government won't do everything. The government will not do everything. And he talked about, first of all, talked about, we being united. I remember during our last elections here in Nigeria, I remember, some of these campaign leaders coming out to tell the people, oh, we have to be united, because there was this cultural difference. There was this big cultural difference. The Igbos are fighting the Yorubas are fighting the Hausas are saying we are not all Hausas, there are these people from this clan, these people from this clan, and then we're like, we have a common problem. We are all one people, we are all Nigerians at the end of the day. We have to be united. We have to, because then we'll be fighting for a common goal. But when we are divided, we are fighting as a divided front, we can never make headway. So this is almost similar to what he's trying to say, that America has to become united. No time to be pretending to be united. You have to come as a united front. That way, the government will be held accountable for their actions. He also talked about the family unit. How parents have to start taking accountability for their actions, not the government. You say you failed, are you going to blame the government for not doing your job as a parent? Are you going to blame the government for having a broken, raising a child as a single mom? Those kind of conversations. We need to start taking our own personal accountability, and then also coming as a united front. Good conversation here. I love it.
Places the weight of responsibility not on systems or external forces, but on the foundation laid at home.
Yes.
This is a sharp critique of the current culture, which often focuses on blaming external systems.
Yes.
Denzel turns the mirror back on families and communities, reminding us that change begins in our homes, long before outside influences come into play. This notion of unity and accountability ties back to how we engage with each other, especially across racial and cultural lines. Denzel's next insight touches on the essence of building genuine human connections.
Race relationships have to do with race relationships. You're white or whatever you are, I'm black or whatever I am. We're standing here talking now. That's how we get things done. You can't legislate love. The President of the United States can't legislate us into liking each other. We have to step forward and ask questions about each other and engage. There's no law that says, oh, because I'm president, you all got to get along now. So it's up to us.
Denzel underscores that meaningful relationships between races are built through communication, not through laws or policies. The government can't force people to understand each other. It's up to individuals to make the effort to engage and connect.
That's almost what we just said.
This is a direct critique of woke culture's reliance on legislation and top-down approaches to solving racial issues. Denzel's point is simple. Real change happens through dialogue and human interaction, not through rules and regulations. It's a call for personal responsibility in building bridges between communities. As Denzel calls for stronger communication and responsibility, he reflects on his own life experiences, reminding us that hard work and personal accountability are key to success, something he's lived through firsthand.
When I was 20, I worked for I grew up in Mount Vernon, New York. I worked for the sanitation department. I was a garbage man.
You were a garbage man?
I was a garbage man. I worked at the back of the truck, 22 square blocks. That's hard. Doing movies, there's nothing that we do in the movies that's hard.
I used to deliver for United Parcel Service on a truck.
Right.
That was hard.
Yeah.
This is a joke.
Yeah.
His point is clear. Real work, the kind that shapes character, is found in the everyday struggles of ordinary people. Hollywood is nothing in comparison. This comment cuts through the illusion of celebrity and reminds us that success comes from real hard work, not from fame or popularity.
Yeah.
In a world where woke culture often elevates celebrities as moral authorities, Denzel grounds the conversation in reality, reminding us where true value lies. Finally, Denzel brings the conversation full circle by addressing the media's role in shaping perceptions, especially in an age where misinformation runs rampant.
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
So what do you do?
That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore. So what a responsibility you all have to tell the truth, not just to be first, but to tell the truth. We live in a society now where it's just first. Who cares? Get it out there. We don't care who it hurts. We don't care who we destroy. We don't care if it's true. Just say it, sell it. Anything you practice, you'll get good at, including BS.
This is a strong rebuke of the current media landscape, which often amplifies narratives without fact-checking. Woke culture, too, thrives on these quick reactions and viral moments. Denzel's point? Truth and integrity should always come before speed and spectacle. Denzel Washington's perspective is clear. Personal responsibility, critical thinking, and unity are the keys to navigating today's complex world. He challenges the surface-level narratives of woke culture, urging us to dig deeper and take control of our own lives. But now, the real question is, what do you think? Do you agree with Denzel's views on race, culture, and accountability? Or do you see things differently? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications.
The question now goes to you guys. Do you guys agree with Denzel's thoughts on unity, on hard work, on consistency, and all of those things? Do you guys agree, or do you guys oppose, and why? Okay, I love, like, now the last conversation goes strictly to the media. It shouldn't be about who says it first, because usually the person that says it first actually sells first, because they say no publicity is bad publicity, right? Bad publicity sells, but something like that. So it shouldn't be who says it first. It should be the most important thing is telling the truth. That's why you can't sell every news as a blog. You know, you have to actually sell the truth, not being the first or being. You have to sell the truth, because this is people's image you are trying to tarnish. You're just telling a story about somebody, and when you're telling lies, I mean, that is not good enough. So I think it's that conversation. The last one goes to the media, strictly to the media. Yeah, about, you know, everything Denzel Washington thinks and says. I think I kind of agree with everything he says, because truthfully, hard work and accountability is the only way you can make a headway in life. Whether you're a person of color or not, you need to be hardworking, and you need to be accountable to yourself. Truthfully accountable to yourself. He mentioned unity, he mentioned accountability to the government, and so many other conversations. We'd like to know your thoughts and opinions concerning all of these discussions that were mentioned. What was the highlight? Which part of the conversation was like, okay, let me say something about it? We'd love to know, and we'd love to learn in the comment section below, right? Before we log out, do well to like, share, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell, and yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.